warm welcome to my political opinion yet again. This is the second video I'm making about politics this year, and every time I've done that, it's because I've been pushed by extreme need, the feel of extreme need to do this. Okay, yeah, so welcome to my channel. My name is Maggie Tote, and I hope you agree with me, and if you do not, I hope at the end of this video you at least see some sense into it. So let's get right to it. No reforms, no elections. That's a slogan we've been hearing for like the last 2 months. Because of why? Well, because of a number of these reasons, according to our opposition, NASA leader. Yeah, that was a minute of silence, to just record with this whole thing, because it's a bit frustrating to think how this is going to affect us as a country if it keeps up, which is it's going to, by the look of things. No reforms, no elections. Yeah, so we get that. I get that personally, but what I don't get is, then no elections, then what? No elections, then what? Everybody's out here in the streets demonstrating. The NASA people are like, no reforms, no elections, 26th I'm not voting, and you're all up on WhatsApp pages and spreading all these kind of posters because you're in support of Baba, and he says no reforms, no elections, and you know what he says is your gospel truth, which is cool, but to what end? You do need to think about that. It's so exhausting to see how these politicians use us and how we let them. Because if Raila really did care about our well-being, he'd think twice before saying some of these things. Who had him say, Jana, not even too far, yesterday in the news, like apparently there's lots of law enforcement guys have been dropped in the Nyanza side, because there's obviously going to be some resistance come 26th of this month, next week that is. There's obviously going to be a lot of issues because people are not going to vote. They intend not to turn up to vote, so there's going to be a problem. And do you know what it means when there are cops out there? Do you know what it means they're poured out there? I'm not asking you what it means for the no reforms, no elections movement. I'm not asking you what it means for Raila as far as his political stand is there. I am asking, do you know what it means to you as an individual? Do you know what it means to you as a Kenyan citizen living in Nyanza, who's probably going to be on those streets saying no reforms, no elections? It means you could be the next person receiving the bullet. It means your daughter, your son, your brother, your dad, your mother, one of your family members is going to be out there receiving the bullets. I'm talking in a personal level. I'm talking at a Kenyan level. I'm not talking as a politician. I am not talking as a NASA or Jubilee member. I am talking as a freaking Kenyan. I'm scared for my life. You should be scared for your life. This motivation, this power, this strong will that you have to really just go out there and make sure that you're heard, because NASA people are not heard enough, to make sure that your voice is vocal enough. I need you to hold that thought for a minute and think, to what ends? The other day there was a demonstration in Nairobi, and a guy was run over. Like, there was a video going around. That guy's foot is going like this. Do you know who's footing for that bill? Do you know who is in hospital lying without one leg, without knowing the fate of their walking ever again? That person. Not the NASA. Not the no reforms, no elections coalition. No. That individual. And if no reforms, no elections is listened to, yeah, and Kenya is ruled out there, as long as there's no reforms, there's no elections, and everything NASA wants is granted. Obviously IEBC is abolished, Chiloba goes home, Raila is made president. If all these things happen, do you know who's going to go home happy? Raila. He's going to be president. That's his goal. That's his goal, people. He wants to be president. He wants to be president so bad he does not care what it cost him. I say this because he should feel guilty about the 2007, and I'm not saying he was the reason it happened. I'm saying like he played a major role because people were fighting in his name. Hell, I'd not want to be in his shoes. I'd not want anybody to receive a bullet on their head in the name of Raila. I'd not want that. He has a lot of blood in his hands, and if you people understand, you'd understand he does not care. He does not. So if you're smart as a Kenyan, Do not ask yourself, do not say no reforms, no elections. Ask yourself, no elections, then what? Because if there's going to be no elections, if there's going to be no president, as Miguna said, then there's going to be war. Believe you that, believe you me, believe that there's going to be war. And if you haven't learned from Rwanda, if you haven't learned from the genocide, if you haven't learned from Congo, if you did not learn from 2007, you will learn the hardest way possible. And do you know the funniest part is, all these leaders, Uhuru, Raila, Ruto, Kalonzo, all these people, they are going to board planes and move to peaceful places of the continent and leave us fighting each other. Believe that. Believe that. So before you sit here and be like, I watched a colleague of mine on an interview, and she's asking like, what is Uhuru going to do? Is he going to make Raila sign the resignation papers by force? Is he going to force Kenyans to vote by force? First of all, nobody's forcing Kenyans to do anything. Voting is a democratic responsibility and a right in itself. So if you're not going to vote, speak for yourself. Don't go out here saying, are you going to force Kenyans to? Because I know quite a number of Kenyans who want to vote. I know quite a number of Kenyans who want to move on with life. I know quite a number of Kenyans who are just tired and sick of the fiasco of a man who's always complaining every time he gets a hold of the microphone. So this is a request to you, sir. The next time you hold on to a mic and say something you do not mean and accuse people without evidence, when you stand and say you have withdrawn and then refuse to sign the papers, contradicting us, the next time you try to treat Kenyans like a game, the next time you hold a microphone to say no reforms, no elections, I beg you, please, do not turn it off at that point. Complete that statement. Tell us no elections, then what? What is going to become of us? What is going to become of me as a person who followed you, who stood behind you and said no reforms, no elections? What is going to become of me when we do not have a president? What is going to become of me when your wants and needs are not met? Because it's like you're holding the whole country in hostage. It's like if you don't get what you want, then nobody gets what they want. I want to leave. I can't afford to not care. So, Honorable Raila, the next time you stand, tell us what you mean. Tell us to what ends. Until then, every Kenyan, before you stand and say no reforms, no elections, think. Yeah, well, that will be the end.
They say some people listen to reply, not to understand. I hope you learned, you heard, and learned. Thanks for watching. XOXO Tote.